welcome back to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians. Our family's a little small because some of our peoples are not feeling so well. And that's okay. We wish them the best in getting better, and we hope to see them next week when we talk about...
The Sandman.
The Sandman. Ooh, fancy. But so
we might have a guest on that one, too. I won't say it just yet because I don't know if it was confirmed, but...
yeah, potentially
he can confirm nor deny.
I'm just going to come in and only talk about the Spider-Man Sandman.
Nice. I like it.
No.
Hey, that scene in 3 with him where he's born, amazing.
Man, y'all are mean. It's a different universe. This is a DC product, not even Marvel. Anyways, so for today, we thought we'd go back in time a little bit to 2012 and take a look at one of anime's best live-action movie performances, that of which is Rurouni Kenshin Origins.
Yes.
We're actually going back way in time to like 1864 or something.
1868.
Restoration.
The Meiji Restoration period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was the early
One of my
stages.
favorite periods.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Okay, Lewis.
You think that's okay.
What was the name of the U.S. Commodore that went over there? I learned
Matthew Perry.
That was it. Yep, Commodore Perry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I had no idea.
Cool. Lewis is going to learn some things about the early Meiji era.
Yes.
At least as it pertains to this movie.
All right, let's. I guess let's kick off with some.
Okay,
general thoughts.
so the live action movie is based off of a manga series and an anime by the same name. I grew up reading the anime in high school, reading the manga in high school, and watching.
Correct you
Hey, if you're watching with subs, you were reading.
This is true, and watching the anime. But watching this movie is, like, I think one of the greatest adaptations of a manga, because the anime, I don't know how Amanda feels about it, but the anime, I think, really didn't do a decent enough job in the adaptation of the manga. But I love this movie.
It was like the anime came out during a time where you had a lot of like filler episodes because manga was still not as big in the U.S. So you had to do like the Bleach syndrome, which was never as bad as the Bleach syndrome. No offense, I love Bleach, but you had to put in stories that didn't quite fit in the universe. They were just there to fill space and time until they were able to catch up to where the story actually was. So it had a filler syndrome, unfortunately. Although the anime, I think the beginning of it is a lot of fun, especially when you get to like Megumi especially, and you get to, what's the name of the one villain in the beginning? He's like...
It's Kanryu.
Yeah.
Kanryu is the big bad, and then you have Janae as well, who's
He's the Kanryu's the rich guy who they played the terrible clown music for most of the movie.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, why would you
just get library
Makoto
music for that?
Shishio. Shishio was kind of the big baddie. More of a big baddie.
More of a big baddie. Yeah.
Which they did not include in this movie, but that's fine.
There's other movies, like there's 2 other films within the Origins
they have
where
4.
you actually go, it's called the Kyoto arc.
That's the next one.
Yep, where they go to Kyoto.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inferno.
And then you have the final, and then you have the beginning, which I know sounds really weird, but you're supposed to watch it in that order.
Yeah, because it's like the beginning is like more of like a flashback of Kenshin's past.
Samurai X essentially done in. For those of you who don't know, there was a separate movie manga called Samurai X, which was supposed to be kind of like the darker story of Batosai and how he became...
Oh, we should have watched that.
It's a very good...
Sounds badass.
Now that you kind of have watched the live action, this version, since it kind of covers a lot of what happened in the beginning of Rurouni Kenshin, the anime, but more condensed.
Yeah.
But in a very good condensed way. They get you kind of used to the characters already. Kaoru, the child, Sosuke,
Yadiko,
and Megumi, who they gave more of a big role to. You kind of understand what's going on in their world. It gets you more of the political strife that's going on. If you notice, they try to take his sword in the beginning. during the Meiji period, you had what was called, and I wrote it down, the sword abolishment edict.
Yep.
And during this time, samurais were getting hit very hard. After the war, they were going from basically the Meiji Restoration was supposed to bring back the whole, like, there was one ruler, not daimyos, which were like territorial, like, rulers.
Multiple rulers, multiple warlords, the shogunate, and their samurai. I don't even know that they were necessarily vassals, but they were like
They were samurai. They were a class of their own.
Yes,
but they were higher than peasants.
Yeah.
So they were trying to get rid of the whole class system. They were trying to rapidly change to a Western style format. And as far as medicine, technology, ideals, religions, stuff like that, they were trying to overhaul the entire government from what they had known. And a lot of samurai did not take to that. Some remained loyal to the empire, to the government. A lot did not. When you see a lot of it, they had a lot of rebellions due to all this strife.
Yeah.
For the samurai. They just kind of kept nailing the samurai, saying, oh, we're going to get rid of the class. And they're like, oh, well, this gave us military, privileges. Now they don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And
I mean, at the beginning of the movie, too, it's like the end of the Boshin War. And the emperor is now back in power. And so, I mean, really, you could call it more of like one of Japan's civil wars, because it's, it's Japanese men who probably knew each other, even though that they're fighting for different reasons. They were part of the same society, the same culture, essentially, and fighting for completely different, I don't want to call them philosophical differences, like rulers and whatnot, and how the country should be ruled, but that's essentially what they were fighting.
You had a lot of the country which was isolationist up to a certain point, and now they're suddenly opening up, hence why the bad guy now is like, haha, the opium trade is going to be great because we're now going to start shipping overseas, which is what you do start seeing, I think, more in Europe and stuff like that with the opening. There wasn't much going on with opium in Japan, I'm not going to lie. They had a special law in Taiwan for the prohibition, but that wasn't until much later. Right. Or actually earlier. And so it was mainly a Chinese product, but then you had a lot of people who studied Chinese medicine, as that was the way to go in Japan, and so I assume that's how more of the opium trade started, because it was used as a fertility thing as well. They thought it would help strengthen men and their masculinity and their counts.
I think that they were,
and it would help women.
Mistaken on that one.
Well, I mean,
soon they would be.
It's like how in quack medicine in this country, people would make tonics with cocaine in them. Coca-Cola. Yeah. I mean, arsenic and stuff like that. Mercury. Yeah. So I mean,
I know, especially the Chinese issue with opium was exacerbated by Western forces just selling. Yeah,
the British Empire,
because they liked
a big part of season 6 of Peaky Blinders.
And it will be.
Strictly History has an episode about Peaky Blinders coming.
We do. Yes, we do.
So opium will be one of the biggest influences of. It's also because in England they liked taking other cultures and trying to use it as an entertainment thing, and so they would coin what is now considered a racist term, the Orientalism. Yeah. Which they were the mystery of the Orient, and you were no, because that's supposed to encapsulate all of it, but they were all these cultures are technically very different. Yes. So you can't really say that. Yeah. So all that good stuff. From Hell, good movie. Good start to the movie. Yeah. He's in an opium den. Wow. They always look like a chill place. They just literally have all these pillows. Opium dens, whenever you see them in movies, they have
I'm so glad you said whenever you see them in movies and not just whenever
in
you
movies.
See them.
Whenever you're hanging out, your local opium den.
They have the way they always show them. They got such a dark, comfy atmosphere, but they have all these pillows, and I'm that's the dream. Just laying there all day, just pillows.
Yeah, high as a kite.
So, pillows. So they tried to, with the sword abolishment edict in 1876, they tried to, anybody who wasn't like a daimyo, a former daimyo, which is now a government official, military or law enforcement, they could not carry weapons in public. And this was stripped from the samurai as well.
Yeah.
Since that class no longer
existed.
Counted in the military.
Yeah.
So, in public. They couldn't carry a weapon in public.
Yep.
At home, it's cool. Not here.
Yeah, and I think that's also like when the start of like samurai swords becoming more of like family heirlooms.
Yeah, you
passed
have the
down
ex-samurais and samurai descendants and stuff like that.
So, yeah, like I said before, I absolutely love this movie. I wish I had remembered to include Kenshin, Kaoru, Yariko, Sanosuke, and Megumi as my comfort characters because I would love to hang out with these group of people. I also love the fact that the sword fighting was done by the actors themselves.
I thought it was really cool. In the beginning, I was getting a little scared because at one point I just saw him just...
Yeah.
And then he finally did some, like, he was actually holding it. And I was like, okay, we're back on track. At some point, he was like... We're back on track. I'm like, you can't just swing it willy-nilly. That's not how it works.
I mean, you can. I just
It just wouldn't work very well.
Well, exactly. So, yeah. I love it. Yeah, I just absolutely love the movie. Lou?
So,
let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
I'm afraid.
I liked the movie. The beginning was, the guy with the cigarette was pretty badass. I mean, if you can be samurai, swording people, smoking a cigarette.
He is he was a former Shinsengumi member. Oh. And this was the end of the Shinsengumi.
I love the Shinsengumi. They're my favorite gumi.
Well, so does Japan because they are very prominent in Japanese stories and culture.
Really?
Yes, the Shinsengumi only lasted a very short amount of time. They were only there for like maybe 5 years or so. They were like a select body government made for like in Kyoto to like, they were like a police force that wore really cool jackets. They were masterless samurais ronin, which Rurouni Kenshin, the term Rurouni, they kept kind of throwing it out there and they never really explained what that meant in the movie. Rurouni is not an actual term in Japan. It is a coined term by the mangaka himself. It basically means ronin, which is like a masterless samurai. He doesn't come from a certain school. He never learned from a master. Like a dojo.
Became that good by himself?
Well, he did train, but he didn't train under a master. Normally when...
Who was the guy he was like kneeling to and stuff like that? And he was like, oh, I'll go and do this as long as it's for the right reasons.
Those were the leaders of the rebel leaders, to use the term from Star Wars. They were the rebel leaders for wanting to reestablish the emperor.
Speaking of Star Wars, what was with the guy and collapsing her lungs just by looking at her? I was like, is this...
So he's a real guy and he's a bad guy.
Weird bit of magic to introduce 20 minutes before the movie.
Right?
Ended.
Yeah.
He did that to the police officers when he was attacking the police station.
He did, but
Yeah.
Yudo is...
Still, it wasn't really explained.
Yudo, it's never truly explained.
It has a name for what
if
it
you're
is.
watching it from like the anime standpoint, Yudo shows up very much later.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like Kenshin's rival. It's like that was... I don't know if they trained together. They might have.
But
I'm not entirely sure, but I know they were rivals on the battlefield.
They definitely knew each other on the battlefield,
Yeah.
but they didn't train together at all. They were.
And he's always had this weird. It was basically it's supposed to be hypnosis.
Yeah.
Is what he uses is a form of hypnosis. And that's kind of his ability, and they kind of explain it that way. So, like at first, you think it's some mystical power, but it's not. It's just a big form, like a different form of like hypnotism.
Yeah. And like using your fear to essentially paralyze you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he does have those eyes too. They're like black.
Yeah. In the anime and in the manga, they are black eyes with like the blue.
But he's got way fancier hair.
Yeah. In the
It's fancy.
it waves out just a little bit.
Oh, he's very fancy, very defined cheekbones.
Yeah.
I was a little excited watching the beginning of it because I thought Badosai was a woman.
Oh.
I was
Oh,
like,
he does
cool,
get that,
a female
though.
samurai. Like, I don't think I've seen a movie with other than Mulan, maybe. I don't know if that counts as a samurai.
But she's not a samurai.
That's Chinese.
Yeah. But I mean, closest I can think of is Lady Snowblood. Duh.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I would think
Is
of
that
her to.
Memoirs?
No. Lady Snowblood's a 70s, down and dirty revenge film.
Oh,
You could even call the woman from What's Her Name, like Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Like Lucy Liu's character from
Lucy
Kill
Liu's
Bill.
character is straight up Lady Snowblood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, more or less.
Oh, I didn't even think of Kill Bill.
I did see a documentary, though, that there are female samurai.
Onamusha are female samurai who fought alongside
their husbands or their brothers or sons to defend the castle. So they did exist. You just don't hear about them as much. Yeah.
But Battleside was cool.
Kenshin. His name is Kenshin.
Yeah, Battleside was cool.
You could say Battleside. It's okay. It's pretty much his name.
That's what they were calling him.
It was kind of crazy. They threw the word Battleside so much.
That confused me a little bit because I thought so. You see him when during that flashback when he kills the guy that's about to get married.
Yeah.
And then
that was very sad.
And then also that was jarring because great music during that scene.
It was a great scene.
In the and then again when you see the opium drug lord guy, there's just clown music playing. I hated that music because I was like, what are we trying to do here? But
he was kind of goofy, and it's kind of weird that they did that because considering even in the anime itself, his character isn't goofy. He's just like a politician kind of guy. He's got a drug trade and he's gonna let it through, and they basically combined two things going on, which was the cannons and the drug trades and stuff like that. But you also have Yudo, who isn't really part of that group at all. It was supposed to be somebody else.
So he's the one that's going around killing everyone and leaving the notes. So he's trying
to bring Batosai out.
Fake Batosai.
Oh, yeah, he's trying to lure him.
Yeah, because
he's not trying to he's doing copycat killings, I guess.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Is he trying to make it seem like he's Batosai?
Yes, he is pretending to be Batosai, and he's using the Kamiya Kashin style as his form of sword play. And that's where Kaoru and Yariko are training. And Kamiya Kashin is the style that Kaoru's father had developed and had taught her. And now, since he's passed away, she has taken up instructor there and has taken in Yariko as her one of her pupils. And
little brat.
I love Yariko.
Little rat.
He looked so ready when Batosai was like, "You gotta watch the JoJo and guard the place." He was like, "Okay."
That's kind of his character. He's always rushed to go into a fight.
Go, kid.
He's like, "I'll kick their butts."
But he's his whole thing though too is he's the son of a samurai who we don't really know how his father died, but I'm assuming that he died in the Boshin War, and so he's an orphan and he has that samurai spirit. So I think that's where all of that sense of pride and honor in the fact that he's being given this responsibility of protecting the dojo and Kaoru in case something happens.
Because who's a samurai if they're not there to protect?
Right.
Word.
Their ideals.
Right, another thing.
Okay.
Street Fighter guy.
Sanosuke.
What was that weapon?
I couldn't do that. That was silly.
I mean,
that probably looked cool in the anime, but in real life,
it
was
did.
It
really did. It was just a giant sword.
When he was holding it with one hand, it's okay, I know it's made of plastic and foam.
Yeah. Wasn't it supposed to be a sword because it didn't look like it was actually hurting anyone?
It is a sword. It's a sword that's supposed to take out both rider and horse in battle, but it's so dull that there's no blade in it. So he's really just using it as
like a rusty old relic,
right? And he's just really using it to bludgeon his victims, as it were. But Sanosuke in the anime, he's a good guy.
guy. He
I liked
protects
him.
his neighborhood.
I liked him a lot.
So the Zambato, the real sword, does not look like that. It was exactly what I was telling Joe earlier, and he knows it too, is that there were these long-looking katanas. Mm-hmm. And they were very skinny. They looked exactly like katana, but they were longer.
Yeah.
So that way you could get underneath the horse and slice its legs apart.
That makes sense.
Which is very smart.
Yeah.
And I'm always for that tactic. I'm like, get rid of the horse. But they exaggerate it. It's anime.
I also liked when he was fighting one of the drug lord's henchmen.
The monk.
And they were just like...
Oh, the Joker dude?
Was that...
Well, no, he had like the scars.
Oh, no. That
You
was,
wanna know
that
how
was
I got
Badasai.
these
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But I liked that part too.
That was by far my favorite part of the movie.
I also wish like his face was a little more mangled.
Yeah.
I was hoping for
His
a little
face
bit
is
more.
never made.
I think he should have had.
Sorry.
Bad guy.
Yeah, right?
But
when the guy with the big sword was fighting the other henchman, and they like stop, and he's like, "You want some wine?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll take some wine."
well, I mean, that's also showing like respect for your opponent as well, which is also very big within not only I think like Japanese culture, but also the samurai culture as well. There's respect for your opponent and for fighting, and there's
Exactly. Honor.
Yeah. Yeah. But
But yeah, that sword didn't look like it could hurt anybody.
No.
well, it wasn't.
I mean, in the anime, it hurt a lot of people, but at the same time, he would. It's an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Of what the sword actually, because if you saw that, it's like, who's gonna read this? Everybody else is a samurai. What's he got?
And I was like,
Big
how's he gonna
hulking
swing that thing fast enough
Final Fantasy
to actually hit
sword.
anybody?
It's one of the swords that's like from like Berserk, like Guts' sword, or it's one of the swords stuck in Cloud's bike in Final Fantasy.
Yeah. And I mean, Sano as like a character in the anime and in the manga, he's like the comic relief, so he's supposed to look.
His best friend.
Yeah. He's Kenshin's best friend, becomes his best friend, but
He constantly challenges Kenshin because he thinks he can take him on. Constantly is like, train with me, I'm gonna fight you.
Yeah, maybe if his sword was about 40 pounds less.
Well, maybe some training at that dojo will, help him out. Learn how to use a real weapon.
yeah, he is the numbskull of the group, and
Every group's got to have one.
Right, exactly. So I mean, that's why he acts the way he acts in the movie.
But he's such a good boy. He just protects his town. That's all he does. Everybody knows him, and he just goes around trying to the sword is mainly, I would say, for intimidation purposes. Like, don't F with me, buddy. I got a big old thing in here.
Every time he went to swing it, I was like, why don't they just move in?
You're gonna break the bridge. Stop it.
But Joe brought up the fight with the masked guy. Mm-hmm. And did anybody else get not Dragon Ball Z? What am I thinking of? Mortal Kombat vibes when he put the thing and he was like, "Get over here!" Yes. I know he didn't say it, but I said it
when
in
he
my
was
mind.
using the grappling stuff. That was so cool. Yeah. Folks, I'm sorry. I did not like this movie for the most part.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought some of the action scenes were really cool, especially the fight with the masked guy. I thought masked guy in general was pretty cool. The scene when he came to, who did he come to in the courtyard? Was that Megumi?
That was Megumi.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought so. But yeah, when he's just behind the bushes and you see a thing of the mask, I was like, oh, that's kind of sick. That could show up in a creepypasta. But yeah, and then just I thought that fight was very well choreographed and just very blistering. I was a big fan of that one, but I don't know. For a lot of it, it kind of felt like I was watching cosplayers. And
good cosplay.
Yeah, really.
But still, it's just the wigs were very clearly wigs meant to look like anime hairstyles.
Yes.
And it that kind of takes me out of it a bit, and I'm kind of just what am I missing here in terms of context? I think if I grew up with this series, I'd feel differently, but also this one was a personal bit, but as soon as the movie started, I knew exactly what kind of camera they shot it on. They shot it on a red digital cinema camera in RAW, and they didn't color correct it too well.
Really?
It just had that very flat look to it, and I've seen this happen in every student film I sat through in college, and it's such a pet peeve of mine. I mean, it's not really that was kind of the look around 2014, so
And the whole movie was like that.
A lot of it was. It was either very blue or sort of beigey.
I definitely noticed
Didn't know
the blue
really how to set the tone
at the beginning and in the flashback part. And actually, I guess even kind of at the end, too. Oh, did it die?
I thought I heard a beep.
I heard a beep.
No, it looks like they're all still on.
Okay.
And they're all recording?
This isn't recording. Okay. So, Lou, you can continue.
I think I was talking about... Oh, I noticed, I feel like now that you say it, now that I think that opening part was definitely a little on the bluer side.
Well, I think it was done purposefully because it was supposed to show snow and...
It's the winter.
It's winter. It was in January, and it is a flashback.
But when it's winter, it's not always...
Yeah,
it doesn't look like
I think there was a lot of... When you think of traditional, stage play stuff, from Japan, the colors of blue tend to... I think they tried to evoke some of that.
I know what you're talking about. This wasn't that. This was the digital color grading every movie had around that time.
All right, because I saw some of the performances from some of the actors, and it reminded me of old, the actors on stage.
Yeah,
doing a lot of those old
like I said, this is a
plays,
personal beef of mine. That's just sort of...
I can also see what you're saying about the hair, too, because, I mean, Bato-sai's hair was just ridiculous.
To be fair, there were no redhead. He's a redheaded samurai in Japan,
real.
And
that
first off
exist.
did not exist unless apparent he was mixed blood of a foreigner. But even then, the chances are very slim.
And
I
don't know. I didn't vibe with any of the performances too much.
Yeah,
I thought Kenshin just sort of stood around.
Which I thought was fair because that assessment. Because
but I don't know, and I get he's sort of a man of few words.
He's not really a man of few words. He's one of those people who he wasn't
saying too much.
So in the anime, and I think the manga, I had never read the manga. He's one of those characters who tries to hide the fact that. He's got a very mysterious smile, but he appears very kind, very friendly, very kind of clumsy and ditzy at the same time because he's trying to get away from the past of which he was a very serious and brooding individual.
See, that's the way to get away from the past, though, is to continue to be serious and brooding. I think I would have enjoyed his character more.
He wants to help people, and
you can be serious and brooding and help people.
Also, he has
that is an archetype I love. One of my favorite characters.
You wouldn't know he killed somebody
from Killing of a Chinese Bookie is like that. But I don't know. I think
they did not do a lot with him. No, they did a lot with him because I think they were trying to make him seem more troubled. Than he was, because in the beginning you do see his scenes in the beginning of the battles and stuff like that, and then it goes straight to him kind of walking around town, falling into rivers and eating food, but he looks like a child, and he's just enjoying life, and he loves and he smiles genuinely.
I think what they were trying to do in the movie was show the duality of the character, because where he is this very much serious person and has this past and is trying to get away from that, he's also trying to be more.
So it's not as exaggerated in the movie as it is in the anime, versus when you have an animated character, you don't have an actor's ability to give you the movement, so everything has to be exaggerated. In a cartoon.
Which I appreciated.
And I think that's maybe why it feels kind of flat from the anime standpoint.
But even I don't know, there were a lot of scenes where people were moving very goofy and pulling very goofy faces and mugging and it sort of just felt okay.
I thought the opium guy had weird bottom.
It kind of felt
you're
trying to make it look like an anime, and you're trying to make the people move like anime, but so why am I watching the live action?
Because the live action's better than the anime.
Unfortunately, it's when it comes down to trying to pick anime that make good live actions and trying to hit on nostalgia, it's Rurouni Kenshin would be one of the ones that works well as that, because even the show, even the anime itself, get rid of some of the cartoony bits. It's based in history. It's like you have some epic battles. Even the guy with the mind powers, even they explain it's a form of hypnosis.
Yeah.
It's like nothing is like, there's no superpowers. There's no, except for maybe Shishio. Shishio's got some weird things going on with him. But I think they cut him out for that reason. Yeah. I couldn't tell you. That's my opinion.
I mean, Shishio is another character that actually just comes in later in the anime itself and in the manga. And
like the
manga. He was what... Essentially, it's like that whole duality kind of a thing that I was talking about earlier. He is what Kenshin could have become, and
had he stayed.
Yeah. Like I get the dualities and stuff, but I
maybe
don't know.
they just didn't do that well.
A lot of it just sort of fell a little flat for me. I don't know. Like
I
said,
think
I probably feel differently if I grew up with it. But
that's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah, for me, it kind of felt like.
We do have the manga here, and we do have Samurai X here. If anybody
So
wants to watch
I
it,
think I can kind of. I think I kind of understand it, because I wasn't really very engaged with a lot of the story. I liked a lot of the choreography. I liked a lot of the fight scenes and stuff like that.
That's what draws people to Kenshin.
Another thing that was driving me crazy: whenever they use slow-mo, they never filmed at a higher frame rate. So it was just stuttering frames.
Yeah.
Like,
it does make it feel like kind of cheesy.
But like that's just how you shoot slow-mo. Like that's film school 101. You shoot at a higher frame rate, so when you slow it down, you still get smooth motion. But
yeah, but this one felt like kind of like
here they didn't do
images.
that. They still shot it at its flat 24 frames. So it
I mean, did you ever think that maybe they were working on a low budget?
It doesn't cost more to shoot in a higher frame rate on digital camera.
You know what, Joe?
It's 2012. What do you want?
We can do it here.
Yeah, we can do that. Like.
I'll do slow-mo stuff next episode, guys.
I can look up the budget for the film.
Brace yourselves.
Well,
I'm going to do a slow-mo running scene down the hallway.
One of my least favorite things about Kenshin has always been, actually, and everyone, I'm like, me and Brian fight about it, is Kaoru. Kaoru was a character that annoyed the, like
well, she was
the
annoying.
ever-living heck out of me.
She was annoying in the anime. She's
so
super
much annoying. She's the constant damsel, and she's over here like, I'm gonna this is my father's dojo, and I have all these, I can teach people, don't kill people. Kenshin, stop killing people. And then it's over here like, she can't do anything. She sucks.
She's different in the manga.
It's like, how do you expect to take over this dojo if you suck this badly?
I'm just going to
this
say,
point, it's just become like,
she tells him not to kill the guy who's trying to kill everybody.
This is just a share house for poor people at this point. You have Sanosuke, who just kind of lives there now. You have Megumi. She's just running a non-profit at this point. But also she didn't call Kenshin's name 50 times. I'm everybody had this issue with Inuyasha when it came out, and they were like, Kagome, Inuyasha, every episode 10 times. The anime was the same for Kenshin. She'd be like, Kenshin, Miss Kaoru, Kenshin.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
They didn't do it in the movie, and Kaoru was a much stronger character.
Once or twice when she was in church, I was like, Kenshin, and you didn't say her name back, and I'm like, good man. But Kaoru has this it's one of those things where should Yudo die? Because in the end, will he come back? Oh yeah, he will. He's a bad guy. He went around murdering everybody in the town, and she stops him from killing him. And I'm one of those people it's for the greater good. The utilitarianism over here. I'm he killed 100 people in town, and she's like, don't kill him. And I'm but maybe you should. This guy was really bad.
I thought the ending of just he killed himself was a
That's what he did in the manga and in the anime. So they're sticking to the source material.
Yeah, but it just kind of felt lucky for Kenshin.
I know Kenshin would have killed him though.
There is a scene during this time, I think, before he gets to Yudo in the anime, when it comes to the opium trade one.
Yeah.
He gets the urge to kill. Is it Shishio? I think it is. He gets close to him or something like that, and he it's in the storehouse, this library scene, and he gets really close. He almost turns back into Bato's eye, and it's one of those moments where oh no, it's is he gonna do it? I kind of want to see it, but
yeah,
it's let's just make my sword reverse. Just play the reverse card on his sword. First off, who thinks the sword's kind of cool?
I think the sword's really cool.
I don't think it's cool. No, I didn't think that was cool.
You don't
I
like that
thought
it's
it was kind
backwards?
of cool. It reminded me of like some like gimmick spaghetti westerns where like the hero wouldn't kill, so like they'd have like goofy weapons and stuff. So
It's pretty much what it
enjoyed that.
is.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of spaghetti western flavor here.
Oh, yes,
I was thinking a lot about like even just like post Civil Wars stuff, and yeah, because like Italy was sort of obsessed with making spaghetti western heroes like former Confederates, because I mean they fought on the wrong side in World War II. So
Yeah,
that was
they
sort
did.
of their mental processing.
This
of
is
yeah.
their self-degradation at work.
Yeah.
They're like, this is here. Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I liked the badass Badasai. The one that was just filleting people.
Left and
So
right.
then you should watch
Samurai X,
and the beginning.
Lou.
the beginning.
I'm gonna recommend you another samurai film series,
All right.
Lone Wolf and Cub.
That's a good series.
Cub.
Fantastic.
It's from the 70s, and it is about a samurai father and his son, and
Yes.
he's his baby son. But like the kid can't talk yet, and he takes him down the demon path to hell, and they become
I like that.
hardcore killers together.
That sounds like my cup of tea.
There's another manga that kind of follows called Vagabond.
You said Lone Wolf and Son, right?
Lone Wolf and Cub.
And Cub.
Yeah.
There's another manga, and I don't think it got turned into anything, but it's called Vagabond, which follows the Musashi Miyamoto.
Have you mentioned that before? I feel like
No, I
I've heard-
haven't.
Oh.
But
She's
it's-
like, no, never.
You know what's a great
never said anything
game?
about it.
What?
Brave Fencer Musashi for the PS1. It's a totally forgotten Square Enix game, but it's so good.
Musashi Miyamoto is one of the most prominent figures in Japanese culture, at least in the U.S. too.
Yeah,
It's like when you think
Wandering
of
Samurai,
Wandering
sorta, yeah.
Samurai. It's a historical fiction one. It's really good.
And that was Vagabond.
It's
Yeah.
It's his life. It's the manga's about his life.
Also,
But he's
just to
pretty badass.
shout out the granddaddy of Wandering Samurai films, Yojimbo.
Oh, Yojimbo.
Yeah, Yojimbo just rules. Toshiro Mifune's the coolest dude ever. Like, another classic, like,
Wandering
goes to a
Samurai
town.
tropes are so much fun.
The town's controlled by two gangs, and he pits them against each other.
That's what's great about Wandering Samurai films is you just have like one guy and he's just walking along, and then all of a sudden they're like, "We found you," and he's like, "Oh." It's like the best. It's like you just want straight samurai action. I feel like Wandering Samurai films are like perfect for that. It's just a random guy. Like, where's he going? I don't really care. A bunch of guys show up. Ching, ching, ching.
Yojimbo also kind of has that feeling that this does of like, oh, he's starting to become like a man out of time because like there's one of the villains has a gun.
Yeah.
And it's just like a pistol, but like he wields so much power with it because everybody else has swords or hammers or whatever, and so it's just
Right.
like, damn.
Yeah.
Which is something I wish they had done more in this movie. Is they got a gun.
I thought the Gatling gun was pretty cool.
Well, that's in the anime as well, but they actually use it like quite a bit.
Oh, like on the town? Okay.
Not on the town. Essentially, when Kenshin meets this guy, he kind of goes to him on his own terms to his house
Yep.
to fight him and his like hired assassins. So he fights the assassins basically like one-on-one. You know
Yeah.
how it goes. Anime, you gotta have the
Anime.
showdown. You gotta work
Yeah.
your way up to the bad guy.
Yep.
And the guns are a big aspect of that because with the new trade of Western technology and stuff like that, they start incorporating guns and cannons into things because they're like, wow, okay, guns are pretty neat. They're like,
Yeah.
Ooh. And so that Gatling gun does come into effect. They don't put it on the whole town because that guy was just kind of an a-hole to the town.
Gatling
but
guns are so
it's-
cool in movies, God. Gatling guns are just very cool. in
They're
movies.
so
Like,
fun.
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, Joe.
oh no, you go.
I mean the later films, which are more closer to like 2014 and 2015, and
It would have to be.
yeah, you get more usage of the Gatling gun and stuff like that. Like I feel like
Maybe this was more of like just an introduction.
it
as
was
to,
well. I mean, it was essentially an introduction to, and then the other films get, I think, progressively better. But it's so, yeah.
I'm just surprised that they kept Megumi as a character. Megumi was one of those women who kind of kept her role in the movie from the anime, which kind of transferred over.
Yeah.
She was a lot happier. Not as sad looking. She was a beauty.
Yeah.
But she was like a sad beauty. She had like a smile, but you could still see like sadness behind it.
The air of mystery with her.
God. And she was just over here like, it's cool, I'll cook rice.
Yeah.
And I'm just over here like, oh. Which she did, but at the same time you're just like, what's going on with you? And they kept her.
Yeah. Well, she was in the manga and in the anime. She stayed in. She was part of the gang essentially, so it makes sense that she would stay.
I thought she left, but that might have been something for the anime instead.
Yeah, she left to go back to Kanryu to like kill Kanryu and then kill herself. But that was the last. Like that's when the only time she left.
In the anime though, she pulls out like a little dagger, and you're like, yeah, go. Slit his throat. I just want carnage. Rurouni Kenshin didn't have a lot of
Why
carnage.
didn't she just kill him though?
She's a lady. She's a very frail lady. She's a scientist, not a killer.
She's a
What's
doctor.
the Star Trek meme? It's like
I'm
I'm a
doctor,
doctor, not an assassin.
That's essentially what she is. She's like, I'm a doctor. Exactly. Just put a picture of Megumi up there. I'm a doctor, not an assassin. That's basically what she is. She's a frail woman who's been working with opium and stuff like that her entire life. And have you seen her? She doesn't look like an assassin. She wears pretty kimonos.
All she had to do was
Protection.
just use the knife.
But he's got like hired assassins and everything.
They weren't in any rush to stop her though.
I didn't give a crap. They just don't have their money.
Yeah.
But they're like, if he dies, I don't get money.
They can steal his money at that point.
Yeah.
What if they can't get into like a safe? That's where all the gold and precious
they
stuff.
have no gunpowder.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure it out. Calm down. We're just getting guns now. Doesn't mean we know how to work them.
I don't know. Mask guy seemed to know. I was like, how many bullets are in those guns?
It was. You could see like it had like the revolver rounds, but the guns were just so hype in that scene.
Yeah.
Mask guy, favorite character.
Yeah, he was good.
God.
The
He
Joker.
had like a Slipknot mask going on with like the ones with the little like nails coming out of it.
I didn't notice the nails.
There was one where Megumi's in the garden and he comes up behind her and he's like, they're coming
What
for
are
you.
those masks called? Like in Japan?
No.
Okay. Is it no theater mask? Okay. Just because I've seen it in other stuff, and like I always want to call it an Onibaba mask because I've seen I keep seeing the cover of a movie called Onibaba that has one of them on them. So
Yeah, there are no
So
masks.
you know the part where they put rat poison in the water in the town, and everyone is basically in this one room, and I think it's Megumi says we have to get everyone to throw up, and everything like that. No, there's two things about that. One, I'm so glad they didn't show that. Number two, can you imagine how badly that room smelled afterwards? That's all I could think
they
about.
should have gone all in, just done a jackass
Look,
bit
they're
in
in
the middle
like
of the
a
movie.
poor town. It already smells.
Oh, man, I was just like, and you're seeing everybody like lying there and everything like that. I'm like, oh man, it must stink in there. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Going back to your Onibaba, now that I know
I'm
the
very
translation
mature.
of the name, Demon Hag, there was
Okay,
a specific. So there is in Japanese folklore, there are the no masks, but there is also like a haunted no mask. There's one mask, the one that she's wearing with the teeth, is supposed to symbolize. There's a female version and a male version.
Okay.
So it usually is shown like when a woman is like a yokai of some kind or a demon. Yeah, that's the mask. It's like it's the story of a haunted mask that when worn, it's like grr. It's not very happy. Grr.
As accurate a description as anyone will ever give.
I'm gonna be honest. If a mask said "grr" to me, I'd be pretty scared.
It's like, first off, why are you talking?
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
are you making noises? As every Japanese haunted house story goes, it's like, there's a noise. Huh, whatever. Let's check out the attic. Let's not do that.
Isn't that every?
That's the
Yeah, that's
Grudge
not
every
Japanese. That's every haunted house story.
I just think of the Grudge though. It's like knock knock, and you're like, "Where's the noise coming from?" Like, don't, just put some talismans on that door and leave it alone.
First 15 minutes of The Grudge is actually pretty
The
scary.
American one or
Both.
I love the Japanese Grudge. It's so weird.
the Japanese one doesn't make me feel scared.
Oh, now see, I think the Japanese one is
I
scary.
was just when I first watched it, I think I was like
Japanese
13,
Ring, I didn't
was very
find
confused.
scary at all. I found that one. I thought it was a great movie, but I found it sad more than anything.
That's
Like,
what the books are. I heard are sad too.
But yeah, no, Grudge does get me. I don't know. I love how it has like no real structure.
That's what confused me when I first watched it. I think it was like 13 and it was like on some channel. Someone was showing it late at night and I was like, sure, awesome. And I was like, I'm very confused. What is going on? And I'm like, where's the time?
That's my favorite feeling.
It makes
in
you
movies.
lose time. And that's what's crazy about the kid who meows and you're just like, why you meow? They didn't really give an origin for like every character. Like the American version, I thought did a pretty good job Americanizing the Grudge. It actually made it like I was like the entire time.
Who's in the American version?
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That's it.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend was played by somebody famous too. I forget who, but he was there.
Oh,
for, like,
I don't remember who.
They were just weird that both of the big like American Japanese horror remakes just had blonde women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How very American.
It really is.
I mean, is it that weird?
I mean, I guess not, but like I don't know.
We love watching blondes in horrifying situations, don't we? I feel like that's a horror movie trope in itself too. Put a blonde girl in a horrific situation.
I feel like a lot of the original Scream Queens weren't. I feel like a decent amount were blonde. Maybe like
a
half.
lot of them were.
Yeah.
A lot of them were, and then the second one would be like a brunette, and that was it. They're like the second movie, brunette.
Yeah.
No, like
Curly-haired, big bushy brunette. Get in there.
I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis, she's brunette, right?
She was blonde in the first one.
Yeah, I think she was blonde
She
in
was
the first
blonde.
one.
I think
It's
because of
been a
her
while.
hair being short,
Yeah.
it's like you see the root color is brown, but it also could be. I don't know her that well.
But yeah, I
see
mean
it.
Heather Langenkamp in Nightmare on Elm Street.
There's that.
Blah. I don't
Movies I've never seen and don't plan on seeing because
Aw.
I won't sleep at night
Oh.
and I like
know.
sleeping.
Most of the '80s ones aren't too scary.
Slasher films
A
aren't
lot
That's
of them
what
are-
scary. They're just,
everyone
like,
says, and I'm not falling for it.
There was when they started doing the new like Halloween continuations. I think the first one they came out with, it was like there's a scene in the movie, spoiler, where this fat kid gets like rejected by a really pretty girl, and then he's just so sad, and you're like, oh, that was horrible, and then he just kills the kid on a spike, and I'm like, Michael, why leave
you
this
know,
kid alone? He just got
I
rejected.
haven't seen any of the reboot
my
ones,
God.
but
Yeah.
I saw a trailer for Halloween Ends, and I was just like, you know what? I've decided I'm rooting for Michael to win in this one.
Yeah, right?
Let
Yeah.
him take out the whole town.
Wouldn't that be a great ending?
I felt bad for that one kid, like kill everybody else in the town, but I'm like, you could have left that kid alone. He got like rejected in such a harsh way. I'm like, he's already sad.
Do we
I'm like,
know
this is just
why
not
Michael
nice.
is the way he is, or is that just a mystery?
It's like some psychological thing. I'm sure.
yeah.
He's a mental. He goes to prison. He's like a nice guy in prison. And they're like, cool,
No, he's
awesome.
not.
They just kind of watch him. He doesn't say anything.
Loomis
said he's a nice guy?
explicitly says in the first one, the psychiatrist of the film must be noted that he is pure evil and cannot be cured and should be killed immediately.
Wow.
He doesn't talk.
Okay.
How
She's
dare
like,
they?
he's a nice guy, though.
He could have been a nice guy if he not killed the kid who got rejected. I was like, Michael.
The intro for the first one is him killing someone as a kid.
That's true. That's bad with Michael. But like, clearly that's how you can tell he's pure evil. Kid got rejected hardcore by these like popular kids, and he's just like, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know that I mean, I think I've seen a
Somehow.
couple of the reboot ones, but it's so hard to follow the storylines with them now. I have no idea where things are. And Jamie Lee Curtis is in the new ones, and I'm like,
Oh, because
are
she came
those
back as the one who
supposed to be?
survived.
So it's like a confusing timeline where
Yeah.
like the new one is only a sequel to the first two.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
the other
that's
ones
what I
don't
mean.
count.
Like, I don't really
yeah,
get it.
and, like I hate horror timelines.
Yeah,
They're so stupid.
because like
I hate horror line. That's
didn't
the
she
only
chop
one that
his
has
head
such a
off?
convoluted
no,
timeline.
Texas Chainsaw
Oh,
too.
does it? I always thought they
Yeah.
just kept rebooting it. That's all it felt like. They just kept rebooting it. It's like, oh,
No,
Same
well,
story.
Texas Chainsaw has the Texas Chainsaw Beginnings,
Yeah.
and it's the exact same movie as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's just called something different, but it's
You cannot beat the first one. It's,
I feel
it's
like that's
one of the
all I've
scariest
watched.
movies ever.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
agreed.
2 is really funny, though.
Really?
Because it's the original director, and he's just like, after a decade of slasher movies ripping him off, he's just like, I'm just going to make fun of slasher movies.
That's fine with me.
There's a
Do it.
great big chainsaw duel between Leatherface and Dennis Hopper.
Oh my god.
Epic. I remember the big horror movies in when I was in high school. They were like The Hills Have Eyes, which is just gross. It's not.
I thought
scary,
The Hills Had Eyes wasn't bad. I
I-
remember.
It's just gross.
Kind
I
of-
That's all
haven't
it is.
seen the original or the remake.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
gross.
I thought I remembered being like, wow, that's actually I remember being
First,
like
10 minutes, you'd
feeling suspense.
I like Wes Craven, so I should check out the original.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was My Bloody Valentine, but it was the 3D one.
Oh my god.
And I was like, yeah, let's go into the mines. So I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the Sabrina Netflix one, all I could think about, they're like, let's go in the mines, and I'm just like, My Bloody Valentine gonna come right out, and lo and behold, there was a guy in a gas mask coming out trying to murder people. I'm like, here it
about
is. Where's the 3D?
I think the only scary movie that I watched and I actually have enjoyed was The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock.
Have you seen Psycho?
I did see Psycho.
You didn't like Psycho?
I thought it was very good. It freaked me out.
Okay.
Just enough.
But
I think The Conjuring, the first time I saw that, actually kind of scared me.
The Conjuring has
find
such
it
good
scary at
direction.
all.
No,
I liked it, but I didn't
was
think
a
it was
little-
too scary.
I was a little nervous in my seat, to be honest with you.
My favorite scene in it though is when the hands come out and do a
Oh,
little
yeah.
clap. That's
That
fun.
was such a good misdirection. You're like,
yeah.
that was the first horror movie I took Brian to see that he actually enjoyed. For my birthday every year, I'm very simple. I'm like, I like to see a movie, but a movie I want to watch. Because it has to be a horror movie, because he won't see a horror movie with me regardless, because he thinks they're all stupid. So I made him go see The Conjuring with me, and he was like, that actually wasn't bad. And I'm like, all right. He actually enjoyed it, and so now he'll watch the rest of the series with me.
By the way, Nope. Amazing movie. Very
Was
scary.
it?
I've
Check
heard
it
a
out.
few people have told me that now, and I gotta just
I gotta try to take my friend to
go
go
see
see
it. Yeah.
It's so good.
I don't want to watch it
It
alone.
might be my favorite Jordan Peele.
I don't like going to the movies alone unless I really have to.
I love going to the movies alone.
I just feel like
There are a couple movies out right
I
now. that
usually
wanna
just bully
see.
a friend into seeing it with me.
I have a
I got a
horror
friend to go see
movie-
Memoria, so
I have a friend who will watch horror movies with me because we both love horror movies. So whenever there's one, I'm like, let's go have a horror movie day. Let's go. So I think the last one we saw was Black Phone.
Black Phone.
Black Phone,
yeah, the one with Ethan
Ethan
Hawke
Hawke.
as the
Oh.
grabber.
which was very good.
Oh, was it? Oh,
It was very good.
I thought it was about a cell phone that exploded when you answered it or something like
Kind
that.
of. Not really.
Not about that at all. I think it's set in the 80s, right?
It's true. No self. I mean, they had those big old honking ones. but
The
that
Zach
wasn't in the
Morris
movie.
phone.
It was a black one. So
Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah.
yes, back to Rurouni Kenshin.
Wow, we really went off on a tangent.
Yeah,
there.
we went from that to horror movies, which this was not a horror movie.
No,
I'm
it
sure
was
for
not.
the villagers it was, but
Oh, that was the other thing that I kind of was thinking. The beginning when they're just slaughtering people left and right.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's gonna clean these bodies up?
nobody. The
Nobody.
government
Pitch
actually.
for a dark comedy. Just focus on one of the villagers during one of these samurai movies and
It really
how they have
depends
to
on
deal
the
with this.
It depends on the government. Some governments would go out I think it was kind of medieval standards since it was feudal, where it's
Monty
if those are
Python,
your
bring out
men,
your
you gotta
dead.
clean 'em out.
Bring out your dead.
I'm not dead yet.
You leave them for a day or two, let people loot the bodies, and then
Yeah.
okay.
The animals will get them.
Thomas Pynchon always said that if he could get the rights, he wanted to write a book about the insurance adjusters after Godzilla attacks.
Oh, and superhero
I
ones.
like that.
I've always wanted that as a show. All the damage done. Hulk throws a car. And it's I wasn't even done paying that off. What do I do now? Is there a special superhero like rebate I
Our,
can get for
our
my
kaiju
damage.
acts of God.
Did you? This is not an act of God. This was intent. It's like, do you have proof for that?
Is the mask guy important at all in the anime, or is he just a
The
goon?
mask guy?
The mask guy. So he is in the anime and the manga. They're part of like a ninja group.
Okay.
Yeah. So shinobi. He is working for Conryu, and essentially his job is supposed to prevent Kenshin and Sanosuke from getting any further into the mansion to rescue Megumi.
Okay, so he's a merc.
But
Yeah.
is there more? Like,
I mean,
there
there's a
must
whole
be
group.
more.
There's a whole
No,
group.
no. There must be more of him, though. Joe's asking, is there more of him in the anime and the manga?
Yes.
Like, more beyond this storyline?
There's a group in so like the group as a whole is they're settled in Kyoto, and this is all about like the Kyoto arc. You meet more of them when you watch like the other movies.
Are there any fun freaks in the mix?
They're
Like, how do you
probably
mean?
not gonna touch on them.
I'm just thinking of like.
The only other guy would be like Shishio as the bad guy coming down the line. I said he's like a mummy.
He was like
He's a burn victim. He's got all these scars, but his body has something
I was hoping
on it that he
was an
undoes it, and
actual
he's gross
mummy.
looking.
No, he was supposed to be burned to death, but then he survived. So he's wrapped literally in bandages all over his body, and okay, and he's obviously psychotic because of everything he went through and because of who he is as like the assassin used to after Kenshin left, and he wants to get back at the government, the new government of the Meiji era, and is wreaking havoc everywhere. And I don't know if I should say how he's defeated, because I would love you guys to watch the other movies, but I don't think that's going to happen. So would you like to tell me what happens? Would you like me to tell you what happens?
Sure.
Honestly, spoilers don't scare me much. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if they wanted to spoil, they're just gonna watch the anime,
That's
or they could just
true.
look up the scene on YouTube.
I mean, that's true too. So, spoiler, because he's such a severely burned, he doesn't have sweat glands, so he can't sweat out anything. So he can only fight for 15 minutes. But of course, the fight goes above 15 minutes, and he self-combusts, essentially.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
But
The fight's epic, and so the fight in the movie is far more epic though than the fight in the anime. So, because you get other fighters from that you meet
I would say
earlier
he's probably
on.
like the biggest baddie.
He is the biggest baddie.
He's fire.
Yeah, fire. Yeah.
Fire.
Like, I mean, he swings his sword and it creates flames around the blade and all this other stuff. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch those scenes.
It's basically his sword is the antithesis of.
His rage.
Well, no, is basically the brother of Kenshin's sword, because they were both made by the same
That's
man.
right. Yep.
They're kind of, it's like Harry Potter wand stuff.
Yeah,
over
or
here.
like-
It's like
But
it's
better?
like the brother.
Valyrian Steel and
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, or
Yeah.
the
I'm just
Hattori
gonna-
Hanzo swords and
Yeah.
Kill Bill.
But better. But better.
Kill Bill is pretty sick.
Yeah,
know,
so
I didn't
it
really
says
like Kill
his
Bill,
symptoms
so.
of
You
pushing
don't
his
like?
bodily
Okay,
limits.
come on. At least the big action scene at the end of the first one.
Yes, okay. I
come
will
on,
give
yeah.
you that. At least that was good, but as a whole, not so much.
I'm a fan.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
he does.
especially
He does
Volume
when he
1,
touches
I was-
people, it makes them
Volume
feel
2
burned.
is my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah,
Really?
that's what it is.
I love
Yeah.
Jaime
Yeah.
and I love Bill. Like,
Yeah.
Bill's just an amazing character.
True.
There you go, Joe. He's got he can touch you and it burns you. He's got like hell powers. He's so burnt that he burns you.
Do you guys remember like AOL or AIM Instant Messenger
I
and
still
stuff like
have my
that?
aim name, and I regret it.
My away message, one of my away messages used to be like the quote at the end of Kill Bill Volume 1 that her like sensei is saying to her, and there's like the voiceover and whatever he says, I forget what it is now. But like if you rewatch it, I was like, that was like my away message. I was such a dork.
It's all right. We all have those moments.
I remember I made my AIM name while I was in like a night class, and I bypassed the security with the trying to get into the like using online the way I wanted to. You just had to unplug a wire and put it back in like really fast.
Oh my god.
In the sign-in period. But like I made mine and I did a typo. I missed a letter and nobody will let me live it down.
So what was it?
It was supposed to say like Pip is awesome because I was dumb and I was like, cool, awesome, Pip is awesome. It was AWSOME, not AWESOME. So when I was typing with people on AIM, they'd be like, you understand that awesome isn't spelled right? And I'm like, and so now when I
thought
have
you were
to
gonna
give
say
that,
use something like pie is awesome. You know,
Pip,
Yeah, but that would just be a true statement.
true. Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
What do you got? You don't like a nice apple pie or blueberry pie or pumpkin?
Chocolate cream.
Cherry. Yeah.
Occasionally.
There's a pie for everybody.
Raspberry.
out there, I
Oh my
think.
god, there's just.
Not a fan of raspberries.
You don't like raspberries?
They're too sweet.
Oh, I love raspberries. I love raspberry in everything. Not everything.
See, it's my
I like
I love
raspberries.
raspberry in my steaks.
Maybe not everything, but a lot of things. Sweet stuff. I
Weird.
like raspberries.
Have you ever had mint jelly?
I have.
My dad-
Yeah, no,
loves
that's
mint
that's a
jelly.
cool thing.
It
Put that
is.
on lamb, it's like
Yeah,
ooh.
leg of lamb. Yeah.
That's what my dad does. St. Patrick's Day, mint jelly.
I
You know, not a fan of. I don't like mint.
no.
I
mint
only
burns. It
like
hurts.
mint and mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Amanda, that's the whitest thing.
I'm super
Anyway.
white. What do you want from
What did-
me?
what
I'm
did
a
you say?
ginger.
Mint
I'm neon.
Well, there you have it, folks.
I'm not a fan of mint.
So, I mean, any final thoughts on the movie as a whole? Because
Movie as a whole, I really liked the action scenes. Really liked the choreography. You know, this isn't movie as a whole. I'll try to get through it real quick. The scars on the guy's face. You see how he gets the first one, but you don't see how he gets the second one. I know he mentions it, but I'm like, that's where the girl. That's where she hit him in the same spot. Like, come on.
you gotta watch the other movies because they'll explain it.
Maybe on Strictly History, you guys can do
The
that.
history
a
of how a
perfect
fictional
sweet
character
X.
got his scar.
I mean, it's based on a historical part in
That's true.
Japan, so we could the potential is high.
That's true.
Okay, so you guys don't have to do strict events. You can just do eras.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't
Okay.
strict
Then I'm-
ourselves
yeah.
to just events. It's like
I'll throw
events
some,
and
some
period
suggestions
pieces.
your way.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So as far as anime adaptation, live action adaptations go, this is a very good one. It gets down to the point, condenses a plot line,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Saves maybe something good, best for the last, which I think it should.
Was it much better than Cowboy Bebop?
It'll always be better than Cowboy Bebop. There's a lot of things that are just better than Cowboy Bebop. At this point, I think a lot of things beat Cowboy Bebop. Not to say that Netflix's Death Note is definitely at the bottom of my list, but Cowboy Bebop at least beats that much.
Wow.
And that's about it. Good fight scenes. Character development is all right, but you've got 4 other movies to really go harder into Kenshin's life. I would have loved to have seen the more cute, ditzy Kenshin when he's in town and around Kaoru. I love his ditzy side. It makes him seem not like he killed a crap ton of people.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. But I think it's great. It's also a good learning opportunity as well. You can look up a lot of stuff going on during that time period. And it's
What
educational.
about you, Joe? As a whole?
As a whole, not a big fan, but some good action in there. And, if they deliver more of that in the sequels, they might be worth a watch. So.
Would you give the other movies a chance?
You gotta get to Hellboy.
Hellboy?
That's the mummy guy. I told you, Shishio.
They
and
bring in
Shishio.
Ron
Oh, I
Perlman.
was gonna say this is connected to that. How?
No.
I think we should have more super unauthorized crossovers where Hellboy can just show up in a Japanese movie and they.
Who does the comics for? What's the publishing company? Is that Vertigo?
I
Does
think so.
I mean, Sandman could do it. They can have it. It technically exists in the universe.
There was a whole like big lawsuit because like a Taiwanese company like had some like weird paperwork that seemed to suggest that they owned Ultraman now.
Oh,
so
wow.
they were just producing like a bunch of Ultraman stuff totally illegally. And so there's just a cool alternate universe Ultraman you can watch.
Wow.
But yeah, no. I mean, if there's some good action scenes, maybe I'll give them a watch. Are the sequels shorter?
No, they're all 2 hours long. Every movie is 2 hours long.
Yeah, the length is kind of was.
Here.
I was feeling it.
There's a lot to get in here.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't seem like a lot, there's a lot to get in here.
Yeah.
And they're trying to condense it for you, so you don't have to watch like 20 hours.
I work until 9 o'clock at night. I wake up at like 4:30 in the morning, trying to watch this last night. I was like
You woke up at 4
dozing
o'clock
off
in the morning?
during like the, during the not action parts. So I had to wake up. When I woke up early this morning, that's when I finished it. But yeah, the length was. I was like, all right. I mean, he's eating beef. Like let's move that along a little bit. Yeah.
We're very dedicated.
He was chewing on that chicken for a while.
He was, yeah. And when the one guy was talking to me, he kept moving his chopsticks in the thing, and I was like, take a bite.
No, you can't eat in movies. What's wrong with you? Can't know that we're human.
That was probably actually a budget thing. That one.
It's like, don't you dare take a bite.
It's annoying because either you got to have a lot of chickens on hand or you got to get ready for the shots not to match.
If you touch that sushi, I swear to God. If you put that in your mouth and chew, it's your paycheck that's at stake.
Either that or do it one take.
It's coming right out.
So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love this movie and the other movies because it's just a nostalgia overload for me. And I love how the subtleness the actors played the characters, because no one was overacting. No one had to be like, this is who I am, and all this other stuff like you would normally see. And
I'm glad they toned down Kaoru.
Yes.
I needed that.
Yeah.
I hate characters like her who have a sense of justice.
Yeah, but
Like
can't do
rats.
anything.
Have a high sense of justice. I hate them.
I just hate characters with morality.
I do hate morale. I like characters that question, like, morality. She doesn't. She's just like, killing people is wrong. And I'm like, but if you had the choice. It's like, but, like, if it helped save the village, would you do it?
Yeah, of
I
course.
mean, Yudo's
You're now
kind of a bad guy who hypnotizes people and causes them to go into seizures. I'm like, you wouldn't want to kill that guy? I would.
Same.
Out of here.
Same. He would
Rat
be dead.
poison for him.
So, Katie, would you say this is your favorite movie?
One of them, yeah.
Like top 5?
Yeah, I would include that in top 5. Yeah.
Top
absolutely.
3?
Top 2, top 1.
Top 5.
For the amount of times I've watched all of the movies.
No, just this movie.
Just this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. We should, you know what? As a future thing, we should all have to pick our favorite movie. Just pick it,
Everyone's seen
and everyone watches it, and then we discuss them.
That
Everyone's
sounds
seen
that's fun.
Yeah.
it. Everybody's seen
Yes.
it.
What's yours?
What is it?
I'm going to be not controversial, but I'm going to be very, very white. I'm going to say Night Before Christmas is my favorite.
Oh, Nightmare Before Christmas rules.
I love
Yeah, but
the
everybody's
Nightmare
seen
Before
it, so to have you
Christmas.
guys pick it out of a box and say you've never seen it, I'm going to be like, y'all have already seen it.
All right. Maybe not our favorite movies, but a movie we want everyone to watch. How about that?
We feel that everyone
Hey,
should
November's
watch
wide open.
November's wide open.
November
I like
is
it.
wide open. We should do it for November for sure.
Yeah.
one of which is Pompo the Cinephile, because y'all movie people need to watch it.
Pompo?
Pompo the Cinephile, the
I
anime
don't
film
think
I
I've
showed
ever
this
heard.
Monday for the anime movie nights.
Oh, I'm gonna write it down.
I own it. I think we were getting it here at the library.
I have
It is a fantastic movie for movie lovers.
I've a mixed relationship with movies like those. Sometimes I love them, sometimes I hate them.
They do a lot of fun stuff. It's basically about the story about a guy whose dream is to make his own movie, but he spends his life being the assistant to a producer who's known for making like great B-grade movies. And she starts off by telling him, I want you to make a 15-second trailer from this one movie. And he's like, what? And he has knowledge of the editing software, so he does it. And then she makes the screenplay, and she's like, I want you to direct this. And it starts with him, it's a great journey, and it's great like exaggeration to show you kind of how it feels like to have
going to
the
Roger
power.
Corman film school.
It's great. The kids loved it. I was very surprised. I didn't know what they were going to expect, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great anime film for people who love films, I feel like. That's me.
Cool. I'll check it out.
It's about dreams.
This is what dreams are made of.
The harsh realities.
Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah. So, with that, I think we enjoyed Kenshin. I think that we all agree it's not the perfect movie, but for me,
I don't think Katie agrees with that.
It is a fantastic live-action adaptation
Yes.
of a classic from Japan.
Yes.
So, and with that, I think we will say adieu. Bye.